Okay, in assignment 11, we're going to talk about ratios and proportions and how to solve proportions. A ratio is simply two fractions that are compared to each other. Okay? And before we start solving these proportions that you see here, I want to talk about something a little different. So if you're taking notes, just write this on the back page or somewhere. To determine if a pair of ratios are equivalent, so we're trying to see if these two ratios, yes, they're fractions, are equivalent, then we can simply multiply cross products and see if they're equal to each other. What I mean is, if I multiply those two numbers, 5 times 20, that's 100, and then multiply these two numbers, see that's like a butterfly, 4 times 25, that's also 100, and they equal each other. So I could say that these two proportions are equivalent. 4 over 5 is equal to 20 over 25. To show you another example, now I'm asking, is 12 over 17 equal to 50 over 85? Now notice that I don't have any missing numbers. I'm not trying to solve this. I'm just trying to see if these two proportions are equal to each other. And I can do that by doing this butterfly thing. So 17 times 50 is 85. I'm sorry, that's not right. 17 times 50 is 850, I mean. Then I'm going to multiply these two. 12 times 85. 12 times 85 is 1,020. And 850 does not equal 1,020. So where these two were equivalent, these two are not. So if you just want to see if two ratios are equivalent, you just multiply cross products and see if they're equal. Easy peasy. Now, if you have equations, proportions that you're trying to solve, then now we're looking at something like this. 4 over 3 equals x over 6. And you're trying to find the missing number. So one way to do that, and there are a couple of different ways to work this problem, but one way to do that is just by using the butterfly method, which we would say 4 times 6, and that would equal the other way, which is 3 times x. And you can see that we've created a little baby equation here that we need to solve. So 4 times 6 is 24. I can go ahead and multiply those. And then divide both sides by 3, and you would get x equals 8. Some of you guys might recognize that method. It's cross multiplying and dividing. Cross multiply and divide. So an easy problem like that, you just simply cross multiply and divide. Let's look at another one. How about 2/5 is equal to 20 over x. So now I have a missing number here. 5 times 20, that's 100, equals 2 times x. So there's my cross multiplying. And then when I divide, I would get x equals 50. So those should be pretty easy. They're going to get a little bit tougher when you look at a problem like number 2. So now you have a missing number, but it's a little busier than problem number 1. You've got a little bit more going on here. It's not just n, it's n plus 5. But the process doesn't change. But you got to be careful when you cross multiply. But the process is this, again, cross multiply. So 4 times 10, that's 40, equals 2 times this whole thing. So when you write this, it's not 2n plus 5, it's 2 times n plus 5, the whole thing, which means you're going to have to distribute here. So 40 equals 2 times n is 2n, and 2 times 5 is 10. And now I'm left with a two-step equation to solve. Take away 10 from both sides. I'm trying to get n by itself. So I'm left with 30 is equal to 2n. And then when I divide both sides by 2, I get n is equal to 15. Okay. Look at number 3. Same process. 2 times y would just be 2y. Here, 5 times that whole thing, that's going to equal 5 times that whole thing of y minus 3. Now we got a little bit more stuff going on. Got to distribute. Now I have a variable on both sides and I have to get rid of one. Now I know we normally say get rid of the smaller one, which would be the 2y, but if I do that, there wouldn't be anything left over here, and it gets confusing when that happens. So for this problem, here's the exception. I'm going to take away 5y from both sides, and that leaves me, I'm going to come over here and say negative 3y equals negative 15. Dividing by negative 3, I get y equals 5. Okay, so those are how to solve ratios, how to see if two ratios are equivalent, and also how to solve a proportion. Now, one thing I wanted to touch base on is because you might see some word problems. Okay, and if you see a word problem, then you're going to set up one ratio based on the information that you know is true. Okay, they're going to give you enough information for you to set up one of the fractions or one of the proportions. And then the other one, they're going to give you one of the numbers, and the other number is going to be missing. For example, this question here. Hugh's boat uses 5 gallons of gasoline in 4 hours. At this rate, how many gallons of gasoline will the boat use in 10 hours? So what do we know is true? Well, we know that Hugh's boat uses 5 gallons in 4 hours. So I could set up one of my ratios just like that. Something that I know is true. At this rate, how many gallons will the boat use in 10 hours? So I'm going to set up my other fraction based on the missing number and the number that they give me. So it was 5 gallons, 4 hours. So I want to know how many gallons in 10 hours. And this would be the missing number. So cross multiply and divide. 5 times 10 is 50. 4 times x is 4x. Divide by 4, and you would get x equals 12.5. So 12.5 gallons would be the answer. All right, that's it. Good luck.